welcome, hello, hi, how are you? I was having a really incredible conversation with a good friend of mine last night, and it really brought forward something that I think is important for us to talk about. And the caption for this is why yoga is not the answer. Now, just for a bit of background, I am a yoga instructor. I practice yoga every single day. And I do believe that yoga is a very valid and valuable part of our lives. However, I do know that there are a good number of individuals that are spending their time busy, full on, really engaged with life in a very non-emotional way. Like, I have to get this done, I need to make that money, this needs to happen, I'm gonna go on that holiday, I'm gonna, like, really masculine energy focused goal setting and fulfilling of those goals. So life is primarily spent in that capacity, and then that same person will then go to a yoga class maybe once or twice a week. Now, to begin with, yoga is incredible, and I'm so glad if this is you that you're going to yoga. Yay, yes, keep going. But what I'm trying to bring forward here is that going to a yoga class for a physical practice is not the end of yoga, is not all that you need to do in order to find that happiness and fulfillment within. There are so many different levels of the yoga practice, and in this Western world, we believe yoga to be a physical experience. Even just right now, take a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself what you associate with yoga. If I ask you if you want to go to yoga, what are your first thoughts? Are you thinking about what you're going to wear to it? Are you thinking about whether or not you've been in a while and if you can keep up physically? Are you thinking about the people you might see there? The whole concept of yoga in the Western world for the average person is that yoga is a physical practice. And yes, it's powerful, and yes, it's beautiful, and yes, I would recommend that you continue with your daily or regular yoga practice. But I want you to recognize and realize that there are so many more levels and layers of the yogic practice than just the physical asana. Even something as simple as breath work, something as simple as when you're in that chaotic day, when you're thinking of all the things you have to do and you're pushing and you're trying to make it happen and you're trying to make all of this occur in your life so that you can accomplish the goals you've set that are way too high, but you're doing it anyway. Breathe. You don't have to go to a yoga class to activate the principles of pranayama. You can actually begin to breathe into your lungs, breathe into your full chest, breathe into your full body in every single moment that you're feeling overwhelmed. And by doing this, it brings forward deeper healing capacity within your own body. Yoga is not just a physical practice. Yoga, what I found, is kind of a gateway for the average Westerner to start exploring what spirituality and holistic healing means to us. When we start tapping into our body's wisdom through the physical asana practice of yoga, that's when we start uncovering that we actually have wisdom in our bodies, that we have this ability to have simplistic moments of healing in our bodies. This is when we start looking at the foods we're eating, the people we're spending time with, the actions that we're taking, how much sleep we're getting. This is when we start looking at all those physical components and understanding and realizing what works for us as an individual. Get it? Are you with me here? If you're going to yoga a few times a week, like I said, awesome. Please keep doing that. If that is the extent of what you're doing right now, I want you to ask yourself and consider for yourself, is it possible for you to take it a little bit deeper? When you go to a yoga class, is it possible for you to not just flop onto your mat and go through the physical movements like, okay, yeah, warrior, yeah, I got this, okay, whatever, and just do it as that physical, I need exercise, I need to move my body? Is it possible for you to take it deeper than that? Is it possible for you to genuinely try to meditate and let go of those thoughts in the beginning of your practice and in your shavasana? Is it possible for you to spend more time on your mat, not in the physical poses, but more in that internal aspect in your body, consulting with your body, with the wisdom that lives within? It's okay, by the way, as an instructor, it's okay to go to a class and not participate in all the poses. It's like incredible when someone does that, because as an instructor, we know that you're doing what's right for your body and your experience right now. Okay? So I want you to know that if you go to a practice and you're going through the physical asana and you're like, okay, Dee said to like connect in a bit deeper, use pranayama, just connect to my inner wisdom, I'm gonna do that, and that means I have to lay here. That's okay. You're allowed to do that. There are no actual rules in yoga. And if you go to a class where your instructor tells you not to do that, don't go to that class. Come to my class. I'm super inclusive. So what I want you to really take away from this brief introduction to a little bit deeper of a yoga practice is that it's not just about the physical elements that's going to bring you the greatest healing. Again, it's beautiful, wonderful, please keep doing it. But I invite you in this moment to consider where you can take your yoga practice deeper. Start looking at the 7 limbs of yoga and the 8 limbs? 8 limbs of yoga. What am I doing here? Start looking at the limbs of yoga and looking into the pranayama aspect and looking into all the different layers that we have on our physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental bodies that are holding us back from our healing potential. Start really exploring this for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. This is an invitation for you to dive in deeper into yourself so that you can explore what's right for you. And whether or not you ever want to teach it, if you're considering doing your 200-hour yoga teacher training, I highly recommend it. We don't necessarily need a whole influx of more instructors in the Western world because we have so many, but the actual training itself is life-changing. It completely shifts your practice. It completely shifts or deepens your ability to trust in your belief system and what matters to you in terms of spirituality, in terms of history, in terms of how you move yourself forward, what happens with life and death. All of this comes up for you. And not only that, you take your physical practice far, far deeper. And it's so powerful for an individual to actually focus on what's important to them as an individual. I would highly recommend you take your 200-hour yoga teacher training. I absolutely loved mine. I was super adverse to it for quite a few years, thinking I didn't need it. And then when I actually did, I realized, oh, this just made my life make so much more sense. So, if nothing else from this conversation, please take a deep breath and ask yourself where in your yoga practice, whether it's once a week, 5 times a week, every day, where can you deepen into taking it further than just that physical aspect? Where can you allow the healing capacity of yoga to deepen in your physical experience and your mental experience and your emotional experience and tap you into that spirituality that allows you to feel full of love all day, every day, and allow that healing capacity to be a part of your life?